UAV. If you encounter a UAV, you're gonna have to be looking in the skies, and you're gonna have to find it, and you're gonna have to shoot it out of the sky, and it's a very small target. You have to have, you can't just be running through the world without your headphones on. It's a faint sound before, the sapper. You don't want to get too close to it, because it'll blow you up. I was watching Orange Sherbert and Sequisha stream last night, and you guys encountered a couple of sappers at the dump, and it was like, I don't want to. I think Orange was one that said that I don't want to shoot the sapper right now because it's too close to the vehicle. It might blow the vehicle up. So I like that. I really like that. So I just want to, I guess, tip my hat to you guys for that regard, because I think that zombies were an easy thing. If they were a threat, if they ever were a threat to you, you just shot them and they died and it was done, no big deal. But having that the differentiation of tactics that you have to use between different antagonists is really good. So love it, love it, love it. So what and let's talk about that for a second. Was that a conscious decision that you made to change up how you were going to have to kill these things, or was it just kind of very fluid and it just kind of, well, this would be cool if this guy has to be killed this way, or this would be cool if this, was it a fluid thing, or wasn't an intentional?
Oh, we've talked
we
about
were just
this
looking
for a
for
long
different
time.
things, and loads of ideas get thrown around, and usually AWOL and Sequisha will sit down and settle on stuff, and then they'll build it from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this kind of thing, like like AWOL said with the raid boss stuff, man. I was imagining things like that, playing DayZ earlier on, and kind of wanting to get into it. Like I had crazy ideas about a big raid boss, and I would play out the scenarios in my head, like say some new spawn off the coast who's got a Lee Enfield in a Winchester, or whatever like farm rifle he's got, and he encounters this big raid boss. It's like, what the hell is this? Would literally have to like shout out to everyone, like, hey, I don't care what you guys got going on, let's just like, can you come help with this thing? And you got guys like throw like firing pistol shots off, and just everybody zerging down this big
Nice.
entity. Like, I just wanted it to happen. It, hasn't happened yet, but it's
But we're only
it remains to
10%
be
in,
seen.
so
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and
even
we just feel it
Curie
has to
is
be
and
done right.
even Curie is working on an antagonist, right? So there'd be a whole nother style and cool, some cool stuff coming, as from that as well,
and I'm gonna ask
really
this.
happy with it. I gotta like do some redesigns and shit as well, like, but yeah.
Yeah, and we won't put it out until we're happy with it, right? That's kind of the thing.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna rush, even though people want to see this shit. Like, we're not gonna rush it.
Right.
Yeah, you'll always get the soon.
The
At
soon.
the end.
So I'm gonna ask this, but and feel free to give me a no comment if that's something you want to say. Are there any plans to have a world potentially a world event, or I get, when I say world event, it's a map wide event.
Yes.
That there may be one antagonist that the entire server may try to take down. Is there any kind of plans for that?
Yeah. I think if we can do it right, yeah, it'd be awesome. Yes.
Awesome. I just got goosebumps.
I think of antagonists as something we could literally kind of introduce almost monthly, bi-monthly, and kind of rotate almost, and kind of bring in new ones, take out old ones, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the same all the time.
Yeah, it was something that I brought up a long time ago. It was a game called Mortal Online that they have these world bosses.
I've played that.
Super destructive.
I played Mortal.
Once they're dead, they're dead. They don't come back. And we wanted to push that same premise in there, and we just feel if we can do it right, it'll be amazing.
Yep. I think
it is actually quite not easily doable, but it's definitely doable, because once you roll out one version of this boss or whatever, you could you've got essentially a month to work on a new one as well, so it is definitely doable.
Yeah, totally. And I think part of the thing, we would really like to do, because me, I was a WoW nerd, like big time. There was a lot of influence I got from that. And like, as you're saying, DSJ with like world boss stuff, when I was thinking about it too, I've taken a lot of influence from the Emerald Dragons. If anyone played vanilla WoW, it was one of like 4 dragons that were world bosses. I mean, kind of like, Kazakh and these other world bosses that would spawn randomly. They may have like a cooldown time, or they may not spawn for like a week or two, and then all of a sudden, it'd be the middle of the night, and there'd be different guilds that were competitors that would, they'd like say, fuck it, screw the alliance stuff for like right now. We need people, we need DPS, we need healers to take this down now before the other faction does. And I always love that element that really, and it's all player driven. It really brings people together, whether or not they're, fighting each other or helping each other out. It's just engaging, and I think it's very important, especially in this day and age. And like, people play to play with each other, man. You don't see people streaming like, I mean, yeah, actually, you see people streaming everything. I'm going to retract that comment, but
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I don't
if
know.
you want to see, if you want to, I mean, I get what you're saying. If you want to look at the primary games that are very successful on Twitch, they're streaming multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Like, if DayZ had been a single player experience, we wouldn't be sitting here, guys.
Yeah, my passion is multiplayer games. I don't really care about single player games. It could be the best single player game in the world. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I love them.
Share their opinion. I'm really looking forward to The Witcher 3. So
I love them, but they sit in my Steam library and I never play them. And my wife looks at me like I'm an idiot for buying it because I play DayZ and Arma and I never get around to the single player
The
games.
last game I completed that was a single player was like Battlefield Bad Company 2, and I got
Wow.
it for the multiplayer anyways. No, take that back. I played Assassin's Creed 3 all the way through once while skipping all of the other side quests.
oh god, that was the worst one.
I played Tetris once.
Let's do this. Let's do this. And this is a side thing. Favorite game all time. Favorite game all time.
Oh well, that's
What was that, Kiari?
Mine is Half-Life 1, simply because it redefined the genre, the FPS, and it was just fucking outstanding. The AI was impeccable and is still impressive to this day. The graphics were phenomenal, again for the day. The mouths moving when they talk, and it had story-driven events but you'd play them out in first person, and you were actually part of these like cinematic sequences, and it was just groundbreaking, man. It was nothing else like it, and that's actually, if it wasn't for Half-Life, I would have never have gotten into modding. So that's it's part of my soul, like,
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Oh yeah. For me, I'd say like it's kind of like tied between Battlefield 1942 and God damn it. What was I gonna say? Operation Flashpoint, I guess. I mean, they both kind of like inspired my my drive for open world games and stuff like that.
Very cool. Axels or Sequisha would be your favorite game all time?
Good, Axels.
For console, it has to be the Sega Genesis version of Shadowrun. Forget you Nintendo dweebs on that one. Shadowrun was better on
I'll
Sega
fight
Genesis.
you to the fucking death, bro.
No, you won't. You'll have that bomb explode in your chest in the first 3 minutes because you can't figure out where the doctor's at. No, I'm just joking. I kid. But if it comes to PC games, it has to be Age of Conan was a really good one for me with the huge sieges, and for first-person shooters.
I played the shit out of that game, dude.
Yeah, for first-person shooters, it's all about Bad Company 2. I can't stand arcadey type shooters, and that was the close it got to not being arcaded but still being fun.
I must go back and say also, like, if you want to go way, way back, Soldier of Fortune 1 was the shit.
Oh man, yeah, that game fucking kicked ass. Like, it was.
That was awesome. We played that thousands of hours back in the day.
I came in on number 2,
Like
and I played a
2000.
lot of 2.
Yeah. As far as mine, yeah, there's really kind of a toss up between two of them, because there's like two different portions of like your experience in gaming. One is like the single player, and then one is the multiplayer for me anyway. As far as like the cinematic, like single player shit, Metal Gear Solid was probably one of the most amazing cinematic games like I'd ever experienced. Sorry, I'm breaking the rules here, but Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, just amazing. But as far as throwback, old school, Super Nintendo, man, Super Castlevania, Castlevania 4 was probably one of the most influential like platformers like ever. But that's all
We're
right.
so old.
Yeah, well, but as far as multiplayer stuff and more, kind of related to what we're doing now was actually a mod. It was Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Really was really groundbreaking as far as the whole team play like role and just like modular goals like within like the within the map. The map like kind of evolved different stages depending on what you're, and just like the player interaction from a medic, and I don't know. I mean, it was. I spent so much time playing that game, and it was just blew my mind. It looked great, like everything, the sound, the audio, as far as a World War II like game, like I would have to say Wolfenstein Enemy Territory is probably, yeah, definitely my favorite.
Cool. Yeah, I had to take that tangent. So, we've talked about antagonists. Let's talk about base building. What are you guys like plans as far as what you guys are willing to reveal to the audience? What are your plans as far as kind of a roadmap for base building? What's going to be possible, what's not going to be possible, and I guess maybe even give us a little bit of a basis of how Arma 3 base building is going to work. That's a lot. That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Well, right now, basically, the idea is that we're trying to use PhysX, right? So that kind of forces you to build in a certain way. It makes it to where you can't just build a completely unsupported structure. You can't just slap a floor down on the side of a hill and build a base, right? You need foundation, and you need to be able to support it and kind of build it up. That means you can't build these crazy like overhangs and things that just basically shouldn't work, right?
Right.
That's kind of where we're going, and trying to make that fun, which it can have its challenges, right? Because it can kill you, and there's all sorts of little things that kind of have to be accounted for. But I think the benefits of the way the PhysX work and allowing you to literally position a piece pretty much any way, any direction, any angle you want, right? Just by picking it up, moving it, and dropping it, right?
So as far as further down the road, what are you guys planning? Like, what's your kind of like? I guess you were to give us something that you want to be done with base building further down the road. What would that be?
I think it's safe to say that we want to implement vehicles in some way, construction vehicles and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, I got the helicopter, the PhysX rope system in today just as a test, and it seemed pretty good from what I could tell. Like, so that sort of system can be implemented to other vehicles, and it could open up a lot of doors for base.
Okay.
Yeah, I have in terms of like just standard building a base, I have a lot of plans. It's kind of early to go into all of them because we're not close to doing it yet, But the end goal is to kind of have a lot of upgrade options, a lot of different looks that you can obtain, and kind of go big on this modular building concept, right, with physics as much as we can. And there's concepts of traps. We're gonna try and employ traps. That's definitely gonna happen in the future.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, one of the things I've noticed, and I'm watching the time lapse video from Sequisa's YouTube channel, is you see some tin on the sides of some of those wall panels. is that what you kind of mean as far as upgrades? Is there going to be a possibility
that's one
of like
of the options. That's the
Mhm.
current option. You basically for a wood wall, you start out with a stud wall, obviously, and then you put a covering on it, right? And then, once we nail everything down and everything's really solid, we'll start to expand. Where we really think that it'll excel. And do different materials and stuff that that will kind of engage you in different ways around the world. Maybe you have to go and do a special mission, to get a special type of material that you could put on your house to make it bulletproof, for instance, like that.
Right.
The idea is to try and build kind of like a Lego set, I guess, of standardized pieces that can all play together and create really cool structures, right? And at the same time, we want to facilitate. We really want people to base build, base raid, base destroy. I mean, the concept of defending your base and building and defending should be definitely thought of.
Yeah, like it's a real thing. We don't condone, and we certainly don't plan to push out any type of any notion of indestructible base building pieces. I know people get upset. I've seen concerns in the past, like, oh, I put so much work into this, and then like somebody came and destroyed it. Hopefully that concern will be addressed more with the balancing of like traps and other types of like base defense things that we plan to employ. It's all something. We're kind of in the closed alpha now. We're still kind of going to be gathering more data, and we have plenty of data from previously in Arma 2 Epoch. It's just that there were so many different variables. There's so many different server operators that ran completely different settings, and they had their own set of rules and changes that they made, that it was really hard to collect like sound data, without a control of some sort. So it's kind of scattered all over the place. And to be quite honest, the player will kind of, I don't know. It's like if you give them a bunch of guns off the bat and give them all the stuff that they didn't invest any value into and they didn't earn it, they're not going to give a shit about it when it's taken away to begin with, or when they lose it, they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to get it back again. It doesn't matter, So
Right.
I don't know. We're really want to push home the whole idea and ethic of earning, establishing value in it and being able to persist and build your empire and maintain like, persistent wealth and build your character. It's all about, like building your own experience in the game. So as far as the base building stuff, it's not going to be indestructible. It's not intended to be. It's not supposed to be. It doesn't make sense to be either. What's the point of somebody, you find a base that's indestructible, this stronghold, like, what's the fucking point if somebody
It looks
can't
pretty. I'm gonna
yeah,
leave
if they
now
can't bang
before I
down
get
your
sniped.
fucking door and come in there and like take your goodies, like, what's the point? I mean, I know
Exactly.
people, so that's where that is.
So and speaking of wealth, the system of currency that's in the game currently is called crypto. Could somebody explain that? What is crypto, and maybe reveal a little bit on where you guys are going with that later on in the development.
It's kind of like Fallout style. Basically, it's like a barter economy. Like Fallout style, they have bottle caps, right? But in our world, we have cryptocurrency called crypto, spelled with a K, right? That's basically what we use to value items, to give them a worth, so you can either exchange them I can't even say that word. You can exchange them for equivalent worth at a trader, or
Right.
you can literally just sell them, or you can just buy if you already have some, right? So there can be this concept of literally a one-to-one trade, of items at a trader.
Okay.
It's kind of like Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like Bitcoin. My idea, I mean, if you really want to go far into it, I mean, my concept is that it's kind of like Bitcoin, but it's a special offline version of it that is like very large. Like one coin is like 400 gigs or something crazy. If you want to get crazy with the concept,
Right.
But the idea is it's a cryptocurrency, which is just a big giant file, with a bunch of jumbles of numbers and letters that is unique, right?
Okay.
And it's not technically like that, but that's the idea, right?
Right. So like as far like in Arma 2 Epoch, you guys were firmly rooted in that having great wealth comes the great responsibility of having that wealth. Is that something
Sure.
you guys are going to be bringing?
Sure,
in?
and we
Yeah.
still have gold bars, right? There is the concept of finding a gold bar, finding something extremely extremely valuable, and you still have the concept of somebody killing you and taking that from you, and even if you have it stored in crypto, they'll be able to take it from you. We're probably going to add like offline storage of your crypto, so you can, if you get to a predetermined location, save some of it away, right, for future life, basically. But that's not in yet, and basically if somebody kills you, they get all your stuff and your crypto, and you're kind of shit out of luck.
Okay.
But on a
And
side
you
note,
could
if
go
you come
back and
back
get all
and
your
kill
stuff off your
them,
body.
on a side note, if you come back and kill them, you get yours and his. So it could be good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, man, I had a really great question, and it totally just escaped me. Now, as far as the trader cities go, I think there's what 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there 5 currently on Altus?
There's three basic there's 3 basic trader cities that are in the world, and there's the one that's like the debug island.
Oh yeah,
where you respawn. And I guess might as well explain it. I mean, I've already said it a couple times. The basic concept is everybody is a clone. We're all clones. Basically, the whole world died off, and we're all clones.
Oh, you totally came to
And-
my original question that I forgot.
Yeah, and we haven't quite finished the visual of. We haven't quite finished the visual of like what it'll look like at that debug area, but it's kind of the concept is there, and it's you die, you respawn at the cloning facility, the public cloning facility, and you can then go and pick a location and go about your day, right?
Yeah, I was hoping to look into get some animations in to like make the shopkeepers a bit more relaxed and natural looking rather than just standing around and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is really doable. It's
Yeah.
quite easy.
Yeah, like then they're playing backgammon,
Yeah,
Drinking
simple
ouzo.
stuff to make it look a little bit more nice.
Cool.
That Epoch ouzo.
Let's talk about the lore real quick. That's the question that escaped me that I was going to ask about. Let's talk about the lore. So, and you've already hit on it, AWOL, but I'd like to hear, I guess, kind of what the backstory is to the world of Epoch and how we got to where we are whenever you get in the game.
To put it simply, 2033, basically, the whole world's population dies off, and some smart-ass scientists had made a system to clone themselves on an island, right? Which is the island of Altus currently. And basically, it's constantly trying to produce a population for this island, right? So even if you die, there's a clone waiting for you, and you get to come back, right? And that's kind of the gist of that story, at least for Altus. But there's a lot of other things that are kind of going to be worked in, like you'll see the Epoch logo on a lot of things in the world, and it's kind of like loosely
Giant
kind of like
corporations.
Dharma Corporation,
Gotcha.
for Lost, like there's going to be a lot of little things that just kind of have Epoch on them, and you're like, what Epoch brand, foot powder, what the hell, just be kind of this thing, and we're going to try and work in little notes and little plays on the concept of kind of where some of our antagonists came from, but it's all still going to be kind of rooted in a lot of mystery. We're not going to really explain the whole scenario.
Right.
Yeah, left open for interpretation by the.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually,
Well,
I can say one thing as far as lore and one of the antagonists. While we're kind of on that quick point with the sapper, the sapper's not necessarily an evil being. I mean, honestly, you should really feel bad for the sapper because they're essentially previous clones just like you, and they really just need help. They really just want a hug. Is all they want. And the excitement well, they just can't handle it, you know. So I mean, you really should feel bad for them. Treat them kindly, because you know they're having a bad time.
And they're not zombies.
Hashtag give a sapper a hug.
That's right.
I love that. So yeah, I like it. I like the I like that there's some of what of a backstory, and that you guys have tried to explain why people can basically respawn. I like that. Let's talk about I guess a roadmap here for the mod, and for how it's going to develop, and eventually when it's gonna probably go public. What are you guys looking at as far as this cycle of development that you're in right now, which is like a closed alpha test kind of thing, right? Was that what you guys would call it?
We're just getting started, really. I mean, everything else other than this has been just kind of playing around with like 20 people, on a server.
Right. So this was, I guess you would call this a closed alpha, right?
Yeah, this is the start of the closed alpha. Everything before that's been kind of like early alpha, I guess you'd call it. We're going to take it to 0.5. It'll be closed alpha till 0.5. It could change. I mean, it depends on how everything works out and everything. But the idea is to take it to 0.5, get basically 50% of everything we want to do in, and then at that point, it'll become open alpha, and we'll start allowing like GSPs to host servers, and people can come to us, and as long as they're willing to abide by BI's terms of use and not do anything wrong, they'll most likely be able to host a server.
And any kind of timetable that we're looking at as far as
it's hard to say. I mean, we just got to 0.1. We're gonna go in increments, of tenths of versions. So
right.
Our next
0.2,
major build will be
0.3,
0.2, 0.3, yeah. And anything other than that is going to be a straight up hot fix, just to make sure things run right. So basically 0.1's out, and we're gonna hot fix it, make sure it's running good for the time being, and then start working on 0.2 and get some new stuff in, get some of these ideas that we haven't finished, get them in, and we'll just basically keep doing that. It's hard to say what will be in each version because it's still very far away, right? We have to do it all still.
Right. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you guys are very fluidic in how you move, how you develop. So one thing may lead into another, or you may really kind of stick to your plan. Or is that how you guys work? Is it very fluidic, or is it that you guys know exactly what you're doing any given week, and you're just pumping it out as quick as possible?
It's fluid. If like for example, if AWOL's working on something, and he's hitting a wall with it, we usually I try and get him to change direction, work on something else for a little bit, and we get flowing into that. And then most of the time we'll be doing something, I'll be standing around testing with him, and he'll be doing his coding and updating, and the next thing you know, he'll find a fix for what we had a problem with before, and it just kind of flows back and forth. And it the way it comes, like I said, the way it comes together when everybody's working, it's amazing.
Cool. So, now as far as when, at what point in the I guess, and I know this may not be something you may be able to answer, but at what point in the alpha versions, what is it going to be? Is it going to be 0.5, 0.6? Is it going to be 0.8, or is it going to be 1.0? At what point do you think that you guys are going to open the floodgates and just allow anybody to get whitelisted and get in?
0.5 would be the point where we basically will probably remove the whitelist off of our servers and actually start allowing others to host it in mass, right? We just want to make sure that we're clear, with people that are hosting the mod, that they're not to break the terms of use for BI. That includes, no item malls, no donor shops, none of that stuff,
Right.
As totally breaks the rules, and the last thing I want to see Arma 3 Epoch have done to it is something that's not allowed. by Bohemia's rules, right?
Okay.
And that's since it's so early, we're gonna control it like that, 0.5, as long as you accept that you won't run a donor shop, basically, among other, all the other terms of use.
Right.
Most likely, permission will be granted if a community wants to host a server and have a track record. If they have a track record of breaking the rules and not giving a F, then it's very unlikely we're going to allow them to host.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. Now, as and again, if this is another thing, feel free if you don't feel like answering it. But what is something that you guys that each one of you currently are working on that maybe you feel like would be interesting for the viewers? Actually, I think a lot of people would be interested even if you don't think it's interesting. What's something that you're currently working on that will be coming out here in the future iterations of the mod?
I'm currently working on performance, getting the performance nailed down, and bug fixes. Kiori, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I'm working on an electric bike right now. It's like it's a motorcycle, but it's electric powered. It'll be powered by, I don't know, energy batteries instead of fuel. I'm working on a fireplace which is nearly done. So it'll have like 3 different states. One where it's empty, another state where you put logs in, and then another state where you actually burn it and the textures change and all that sort of stuff. And I'm working with the sling loading stuff, which has just come in. So, but there's always new stuff on the horizon. I'm working on. I'm changing it up as much as I can, and you can always catch what I do on Twitch. So yeah, that's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Axel, Sequisha?
Oh, me, real quick. I will be giving keys out to streamers on view block basis, kind of a thing. We don't want to over flood the Arma 3 section with everybody having keys. So just look out if you're streaming at a certain time and we don't have anybody that's got keys. I might just pop up in your channel and maybe send you a message. And if you want to spend some keys out and get some views, I'll hit you up on the Twitter and Facebook, try and throw some people your way. And, they can hit that follow button and maybe they can win some keys.
Yeah, I saw you doing that. You were doing that in I Win You Lose, his channel last night.
Yeah, I'll be doing that until AWOL tells me to stop.
Awesome. Sequisha,
as far as
what have you been working on?
yeah, stuff that I'm working on. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Like Midway.
Top secret.
Yeah, there's a lot of top secret, and there's some stuff that's semi like halfy secret, kind
It's
of.
all top secret. Shh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some stuff that's expected and understood, like the female ghillie suits, like about halfway done. I have to kind of approach that a little bit differently because they're going to be using, for it to look proper, we're going to be using like alphas for it and trying to get the borders in the alphas looking proper so it doesn't look all jagged. Like, I don't know if you guys remember like Arma 2, especially if you're using like really shitty settings for the trees, and you're zoomed in on a leaf, it was like a big, the blob around it, and it'd have like weird
Right.
shit around it too. Yeah, just kind of working out stuff like that. But there's other things like the vehicle jack, that when people are flipping over their cars, be able to actually use a physics like jack to like prop your car back into place. Not an automated like, oh, magic, I'll flip your car over, but like you actually have to place the fucking thing and.
Right.
And I don't know. So that, among other things, there's a couple animals. There's a new antagonist, a new unique antagonist that I'm kind of messing around with a little bit right now, and going to be doing a little bit more with that and going in depth to that. Hopefully to try and make it as unique as hopefully the Sapper has kind of turned out and be kind of kind of a spooky little nice cool thing to mix things up a little bit.
Very cool. Now, as far as I know, Kiori and Sequisha, you guys have been streaming the making of some of these models, and I've caught you, Kiori, working on the motorcycle. So and Sequisha, there was the whole chicken debacle, which is going to be
The fancy chicken.
the fancy chicken. Guys, if you don't know about Sequisha's channel or Kiori's channel, you have got to go check those guys out. If you want to see specific things that are going to be in the game, these guys they'll stream them actually modeling these items. And I think it was last weekend, weekend before last, I believe, Sequisha was making chicken, like cooked chicken and uncooked chicken, and it was the chat was having a ball with it. So it's a fun experience. It's something definitely chill. If you obviously modeling is not gameplay, but it's cool because a lot of times they'll answer questions about the game in chat. So I recommend that you go check out their channels and stuff, and we'll have a chance for everybody to kind of spam out their links and stuff. But if you guys want to check that out, definitely go check out Sequisha and Kiori, their channels. So
I would stream more often, but nobody wants to see coders. Like, it's just boring.
Yeah, I've noticed a dip whenever I get to the configuring stage. I've noticed a dip in viewers because it is boring. It's just words and jumble crap. Like.
So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and let chat know if you guys have a question. Go ahead and drop it in chat right now. I'm sure we're gonna see a crazy amount of spam. So we're gonna open up chat and open up Twitter to questions. You can tweet at any one of these individuals, and hopefully they'll be able to catch it, and we'll be able to put it on and answer the question live. So for the four of you here in TeamSpeak with me, if someone tweets at you and you catch it, just go ahead and pipe on up and say, hey, I've got a question from such and such, and here's the question, here's the answer. So if you get that tweet, go ahead and do that. But we'll check out here. We'll pull a couple of questions here from chat. One of the first questions that I got here was from Sick. He asked, Sequisha, what's the secret to a perfect mustache, and can we expect to see similar mustaches on characters in the game?
Yeah, God, it's such a silly question.
Oh, dude, do you want to show them the screenshot of the other team? What did they do? It was like a guy with a mustache, and he's really skinny with massive hands. Dude, you gotta show them. It is so funny.
Oh god. Well, I was, I showed Curie a screenshot of something. He's like, "Whoa, is that you? What the fuck is that?" It was kind of funny. I don't know. Yeah, if you could find it and link it, feel free. But
Yeah.
as far as the question of seeing mustaches in games, yeah, man, I guess actually I'm probably gonna be doing modeling for it later in the week or weekend, maybe next week. We're gonna be doing some stuff, some seasonal stuff, like for any like Halloween or Christmas and other whatever types of holidays and events. We're probably gonna pay a little bit of homage to events like that, and maybe do some unique items that may only be available for a limited time. And one of them, as far as the mustache goes, I've had a lot of requests, and I think a lot of people would really like it. But those incognito glasses with the big nose and the mustache, I think that would be kind of funny to see on people, especially if it was kind of rare, Like, oh man, you gotta get that guy. Like, he got the incognito glasses, man.
Another question is how long after Arma 3 Epoch goes public will we be able to host it on our own servers?
Goes public as in 0.5, I guess. I mean, we're kind of going public in a sense right now, but it's still, obviously closed alpha. I guess that gets back to 0.5 and trying to get some kind of deadline out of us, which we really can't provide that.
Right. So approximately around 0.5 is whenever people will be able to host it.
Yeah, 0.5, and it'll come eventually. We'll keep working on it.
So if you can imagine, guys, we're at 0.1 now. 0.5, that is something that they're going to be looking at doing. Let's see here. Arky00 says, question, are the different building materials going to have different durability values, potentially be more difficult to destroy than others?
Oh, well, they already are in
Right, that's something that
DayZ Epoch,
yeah,
right?
there already
it's
are in
going to
DayZ
continue
Epoch.
that trend, for sure.
And I mean, just for you four, we're gonna catch questions that because there are a lot of people who maybe didn't get into Arma 3 or Arma 2 Epoch, DayZ Epoch. So I guess you may have to answer questions that you normally would go, well, yeah. Let's
I
see
get that a
here.
lot.
Yeah. Alente Janos, I'm sure I'm screwing up your name. Sorry. Will you guys remove the multi-gun? It's kind of OP. What? Let's talk about the multi-gun real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. No, I'm just like. So, well, here, let me just start real quick. Generally, like I guess who asked that question? Is it somebody that's actually playing right now? Is testing right now?
I've known his name is
I'd imagine
Alente
so.
Janos. So I'm not sure.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of one of those things where like if somebody sees it like in a video, they're like, ah, wow, it's too OP. Like, Site Syndicate had a video where, it was a proof of concept thing where, somebody'd put a bullet in somebody's head, then he'd revive them, and, it was over and over. And it doesn't work like that. Like, that's not how it plays out. It's all, it all plays a part of a much larger formula that is cohesive with itself. It's part of a system. It has its purpose. We're not just throwing it in there for an easy out, because it's not an easy out. It's not an easy thing the way it works to begin with. But we guarantee you it's not overpower in the regard that you think it will be.
Okay.
In other words, it's not in its final state. It's just we're just making sure that system works.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Lots of people are asking about armed vehicles. Any plans on integrating them in a smart way?
Shh.
Armed vehicles. Oh, I have so many ideas.
Well,
So many.
yeah, here's the thing with armed vehicles. Just like with anything else, it has to be that element of balance. Like, say if you have a pickup truck or a vehicle that's armed, it's not going to be armored. If you have a fucking Gatling gun on the thing, it needs to be like a simple roll cage and have low armor value, so somebody could easily fire out the tires or shoot the driver out.
But I think also one of the next armor patches is actually going to provide the ability to shoot out of vehicles, right? So
Yes.
Yeah, may
that
not
might
be
kind
necessary.
of provide the exact thing that would fit well.
Right.
Wouldn't be quite
So essentially-
overpowered and yeah.
So
essentially the most. Sorry,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say essentially the most balanced vehicle we could ever make is a pedal bike with a missile launcher on the.
Oh, I would love one. Thank you. What was that again? Hold on, let me throw my credit card at my monitor.
So I guess to surmise that answer is that vehicle weaponry, mounting weapons on vehicle is still very much in the works, but is very in a fluid state, I guess.
Well, it's kind of one of those things like with the release, in the future patches, you're going to be able to fire from the vehicle. So we may kind of, before moving on that, because we're trying to rope a lot of other things in,
Right.
that may actually really, provide what players kind of, want that want that type of thing. You can fire your fucking gun out the window if you really want to fire from a moving vehicle.
Mainly less reasons to kill each other, more reasons to enjoy something while killing each other.
All right.
I'd say if we had vehicles like that, it would be custom made for sure. It wouldn't be. It would not be adding like heavily armed stuff from Arma.
Or somebody else's mods.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Freakazoid says, general question to everyone: what made you want to get into game design? And we'll go top to bottom. AWOL, what made you get into what made you want to get into game design?
By accident, I don't know. I made a mod for Battlefield 1942 way back when. It was basically added CTF versions of maps that didn't have it, and then I later went and made other like mods for Vietnam, and I kind of liked it. I like basically going through the process, and literally to sum it up, I had like this permission with a team to make Battlefield 1942 on the Battlefield Vietnam engine from EA. And it was completely sanctioned. We used all the assets, and we had put a lot of work into it and redesigning the UI and all that stuff. And then the lead dev basically just gave up and shut down when EA asked to fly 2 people out to California and talk to him, right? And he just shut it down and just disappeared. And that kind of was like so long. It was like 10 years ago. It gave me this kind of taste for it, I guess, right?
Right.
So then, DayZ came around, and I just kind of stumbled on that people kind of like the same thing that I liked, right? And now I think I know what I'm doing, right? No.
Let's see here. The rest of the people. Axel's. What made you wanted to get into game design? I know that you're not exactly the coder of the group, but
I'm not really a game designer. I mean, I help throw ideas out there, and sometimes they land, and sometimes they get thrown out the window, and that's all great. But I handle more of the community. I like getting people's reaction. I love seeing people play the mod for the first time and watching that excitement that they get and how scared they get. And I was watching somebody earlier. He said he'd been playing it for 3 hours, and all he could say was how scared as shit he was and how much fun he was having, and just kept laughing the whole time. So I really get a kick out of getting the feedback and seeing what you guys really are looking forward to and what you like and dislike. So maybe I can bring it up when we're sitting here talking, because like I said, we make a game we want to play, but we also want to get some feedback, because sometimes you need that outside look.
Right.
Because sometimes you don't get a chance to play as much as you really want to, but you know where your premises are, and as long as you keep your premises where they are, and that's something that AWOL told me from day one. He's got these 3 rules that he likes to live by when it comes to putting stuff into the mod, and I just try and help where I can.
Okay. What are those 3 rules?
Well, the main one is keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Every addition, needs to make sense. And the third one is more like a technical thing. Every addition, needs to work technically the way it should. So if we add a vehicle, it needs to, have properly working tires and stuff like that. That's kind of the main thing is, we're not trying to make a realistic game, but we just try to make sense. And if I can explain a scenario to Axel or Paul or Kiori, and they agree with me and they're like, yeah, that makes sense, and we generally like, okay, let's do it.
Cool.
But don't be mistaken, we throw our criticisms in there, and what's great about with AWOL is he's got his brother by his side. So there's been instances where I'll be like, he'll come to me with something, be like, no, I hate it. No, here's why I hate it, and he'll disappear and go do real stuff and come back and say, hey, I talked to my brother, and I heard what you said, but I'm still gonna do it. But here's how it's gonna be done. And by the time he's done explaining it, he hits the nail on the head every time. So what's great is that some developers have been known to it's their baby. You don't change my baby, and it's great to see that every once in a while AWOL will look at it and go, maybe it does need to be looked at different. Maybe I can do it better. And you give this guy a challenge, and he just flies so high. It's amazing.
It's kind of like a collaborative effect. I mean, everybody's putting their time in and working, and I definitely want everybody to want to feel like I want them to want to work on the stuff they're working on, right? Not just feel like it, but want to work on it, and so the idea would be we should the person making the asset, say Paul, he should decide on what he's going to make. Otherwise he's just not going to really feel it, and it's not going to matter, right? It's not going to be very good, or whatever. And that, I guess that's the kind of the collaborative effect that I'm trying to kind of not put too much out there, but also say this is what I want, right? So there's some wiggle room, and we discuss things, and it's very collaborative now. Initially DayZ Epoch was it was just me, and I didn't really have anybody to talk to other than my brother in terms of concepts and stuff. And so now,
Yeah,
you know,
that's what
we're
I was
working
talking about,
together
was the
more,
Daisy Epoch side.
and people that work with us, and you know, I'm more apt to listen to them, you know.
Okay. Kiori and Sequisha, what guys, what made you guys want to get into game design?
Well, I think I touched on it briefly earlier on, but like I said, I kind of grew up on Half-Life, and the first version that came out was I think it was in '98 possibly. And the version of the software that came with that was called Worldcraft 2.0, which is like the map editor. I think it's now known as Hammer Editor, but back then it was Worldcraft, and it was a map editor. And I spent like a year just fucking around with it, you know, building maps for my friends and shit like that. And I don't know, it just kind of made me who I am today. Like, and that's my origin story anyway. It's pretty quick.
Sequisha?
Well, pretty much like all games out right now that kind of suck, and I know how to make the perfect game. I've been thinking about this since I was like 12. Okay? Now, the real reason is like I feel so fortunate like growing up, like being able to play on, like, you know, the NES, the Super Nintendo, and, like, you know, surrounded by all these amazing games and all the stuff that I've soaked up over the years. I feel like it's my duty to try and recreate and reproject all the games that I was inspired by. So many amazing things that like a lot of kids, you know, in the generation now, they're never going to be able to experience it. I mean, I know it's easy to say like, hey, these games are awesome, you should go back and play it, but I mean, like, we even though we love those games, we go back and play it and we're just like, God, you know, like the contrast is jarring because we're so used to, you know, the modern current gen of the way things look visually, you know, and especially with frame rate too. You know, you can almost get sick go back. I mean, like, you go back and play some of the early 3D games, like especially for console, like fucking, what was it, 3D Stunt FX, and you're just like, wow, is like my Super Nintendo broken? Like, what the fuck is this? So I don't know. So it's unfair to tell some of the, you know, the younger generation that never got to experience that, like, hey, go back and play these games. These games are fucking amazing, because they go back and they're not receiving the same experience that we did, you know, proportionally.
Right, because
So
there's a lot
I
of
feel,
nostalgia there.
oh yeah, for sure. So I feel like it's my duty to do whatever I can to help provide and reproject the experience that I got, to try and give that environment for current players now, you know, in the current setting, to be able to at least get little touches and pinches of things that I've been inspired by. I feel like, you know, it's pretty much like it's my requirement. Like, I need to do that. Everyone else needs to be able to share some of the shit that, because I had, you know, amazing experiences growing up with some of these games. I feel like it was an important part of my upbringing, really, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. Great answer. Wingtip asks 2 questions. Will fishing make a return to Arma 3 Epoch, or make a return to Epoch in Arma 3 form? And if so, will we have shark antagonists? Will you make it stop raining so much? Question mark. LOL.
Yes.
So yes, fishing is going to be making.
Yeah, definitely.
gonna be present.
We added fishing, you know, before anybody else did, and we're gonna reinvent it again and see, you know, how cool we can make it. And we were just talking the other day about adding a shark, so for sure, it's gonna happen eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it's happening.
The only requirement is that it has to have a laser.
Oh,
all.
and we're
could
gonna
be
have to. Oh, sorry, Kira. Go ahead.
I was just saying that could be arranged. That's all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not only that, but I think we totally, with the fishing thing, we need to add the you know, the character clothing for that guy. Who's that guy that always falls out of his fucking boat on that cable like axis? Like, it's like fishing bloopers. It's like some.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? We need to have that one of those hats that sits on top of your head that's not actually conformed. It just like sits there and
Sits
floats
there.
in space. Yeah.
I like
Trucker
it.
hat.
Yeah, trucker hat. I like it. Nasir J asks, when do you guys expect to add locks in game?
You know, it's not an easy answer. It's I just watched a video actually of Rocket, you know, basically talking about how they're working on locks, and that if they couldn't figure it out, we, the Epoch team, could. So I was like kind of flabbergasted. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Shit!
I guess we're kind of on the same. I mean, somehow we're kind of about to work on the same project, right?
The Epoch
we
team
will
about to get
see.
put on
I
the
mean,
credits for standalone right here.
We'll see if we can, you know, basically vehicles. We know that having a sea of locked vehicles in the world doesn't work. So the idea is to come up with something completely different and you know, make it more time based, and you know, it'll work as a lock, but you know, there's got to be, you know, you got to do something to open it, you know, and it'll involve time, and you know, it won't be necessarily easy, but hard enough that, you know, there'll be some value in locking something, right? Locking a car, locking a building, locking a safe, whatever it may be, right?
Don't let him be modest. He's got something in the works.
So, and this kind of actually this kind of leads me into my own personal question: is how much are you guys finding that your experience with making our DayZ Epoch is really benefiting the development of Arma 3 Epoch? Because
Oh, yeah.
like